Hey y'all, what's up? We are back for season 2 of Backpacks and Hair Wraps. Before I get into this episode, I just wanted to update you all on all of the wonderful things that have been happening since season 1 ended. For starters, I dropped my middle name, Elizabeth, from my persona, and now I'm just going by Corinthian. If you want to read more about this transition, you can check that out on the Book of Corinthian blog. The blog is titled Last Interview as Elizabeth. Also, this week, I just published my new workbook, the Beauty in the Bayou Workbook. It goes along with the Book of Corinthians chapter 1, Beauty in the Bayou. And I created that workbook to assist anyone that wants to practice mindfulness, as well as get to the root of issues that they may still be suppressing, and just unpack emotions and revisit trauma to release that pain and initiate their healing journey. Another update, the Book of Corinthian has expanded with the Book of Corinthian app that provides you with daily affirmations as well as access to the podcast, blog, YouTube channel, upcoming events, books, and more. And the third update that I would like to share at this time is that the Book of Corinthian has expanded with the new business, which is Corinthian's Lighthouse, LLC. Yay! Okay, now let's get into season 2. This episode is called Practicing Mindfulness. I actually recorded most of this episode back in October, around the time that I locked my hair. I had just finished my mindfulness certification. I have been studying and practicing mindfulness now for the past 5 years, but I actually completed a certification for it back in October. Yay! Now, for season 2, I'm going to let you know off the muscle, I am going to be a bit more transparent. I will be going way more in depth, sharing some hard truths and some backstories, starting with how I'm kicking off this episode. So, what sparked me to want to create this episode about practicing mindfulness? I went back and I checked out season 1. And there was episode 3, Let's Talk Mental Health. And as I listened to that episode, I realized that I needed to provide a bit more of my backstory to just give a visual, as well as to, just share how I got to these understandings about mindfulness and how mindfulness actually helped me. I am an intuitive healer, but I did not always know this. I went through my first real battle of depression when I was in college, and I didn't really know what it was at the time. I didn't know that there was a diagnosis for it. I didn't know that I was actually going through it. I just know that during this particular period, I drank a lot and I smoked a lot of weed at the time, and it was to help me just cope. And I was battling suicide, and it was a lot going on at that time. And I would just drink the pain away. I would drink those feelings away. I would smoke to escape from whatever my current reality was. And that depression was something I would slip into, and I would come up out of it. And I wore it well because I still went out, I still partied and stuff like that, but I was avoiding something when I was doing those things. Fast forward from college, and I went through depression again. The following year after I graduated, I was actually coming out of it my senior year of college. It was my best year yet. But a year after I graduated, less than a year, because Jarvis Jr. was born, my oldest son. He was born in February of 2015. I graduated college in May 2014. During my pregnancy with him, I was going through a perinatal depression. And then I battled with postpartum depression after I had my first son, and it was such a dark time. It was such a dark place. I didn't know how to get to the other side of it. And this is like when I started really hearing the voice of God, and I knew what I was hearing at this time, but I just didn't quite know how to explain it to anyone outside of myself. But I just kept knowing that what I was going through, I was going to get through it, and that time in my life would help someone else get through the same thing. So I kept fighting, but I did battle with suicide at that time. Through my battles with mental health, from postpartum depression, perinatal depression, seasonal depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, all of that, even wanting to actually do it and having moments where I attempted, like, all of that led me to a higher level of understanding. And I was seeking something in the midst of all of that. Now that I've given you a bit of my backstory and revisited season 1, I'll be discussing mindfulness and what it means to practice it. Like, what are the benefits, how I teach children mindfulness in my classroom, and just also debunking some of the myths about what mindfulness really is. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is simply being aware of the present moment. It's being aware of how you feel in that moment, what's going on in your mind in that particular moment. Mindfulness is the act of living in the moment. Why is the present moment so important? The present moment is where we find our joy. It's where we find inner peace. It's where we find fulfillment, contentment. It's where we connect with all of those higher frequencies of love and all of the great things that we're supposed to experience in life. The present is important because that's all we have. We don't have yesterday. We don't have tomorrow. The mind can give us this illusion that we have those things, but we don't. They're either already gone or they're not promised to come. So the present is what we have now. Very few people actually live in the present moment. Most people tend to live in the past or they live in the future. And that is why depression and anxiety are so rampant. Depression is living in the past. Anxiety is living in the future. Now that I've told you what mindfulness is, there is an opposite of mindful. The opposite of mindful is mindless. I don't even like the way that sounds. Mindless. If you are mindless, that means you're not aware of what's going on in your mind. You could be reckless. Being mindless causes issues when it comes to mental health. And just because you're functioning doesn't mean that you're mindful while you're functioning. It just means that, you're still breathing and you still have stuff to do, so you're getting it done. But there is a real inner peace. There's a real sense of joy that comes from learning how to be mindful and appreciate the present. And you can strengthen that muscle by practicing mindfulness. There are several ways that you can practice it. There's not one right way or one wrong way to do it. My favorite way to practice mindfulness is through meditation. It's something that I benefit from by doing every day. And if I skip a day, trust me, I feel it. The people around me feel it because I'm not my best self. I'm off. I feel that something is off mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of that. If I do not meditate, I am going to be off balance. And There's this misconception that meditation is automatically linked to like spirituality or some sort of religious practice, but that's not necessarily true. Now, for me, meditation did lead me to finding my higher self and having a spiritual awakening, but I was already searching for that anyway. I was searching for something greater than what I had already been taught like years before I started meditating, especially back in 2010 when I graduated high school. I was just on this search for freedom, and I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew that some way, somehow, I was here to do something more than just, follow the standard way of, paying bills and just dying one day. I knew that there was a higher purpose, that there was a higher calling on my life. And I also knew that I was more than I thought that I was, that there was something more to me. There's another part of me that I need to tap into, and that was my spirit, And because I was already searching for that, meditation is something that helped me get to that point of really knowing who I am as a divine being. But I was really, like I said, I was already searching for it. I was already looking, and being mindful and practicing mindfulness and learning how to meditate helped me get still long enough to tap into it. But that may not be the case for everybody that does this. And really, I don't even like to tell people to have an expectation when you start meditating, because if you have an expectation of a specific thing happening, you're going to miss what actually does happen. And so if you go into meditating your first time and you expect to levitate off the ground and see, the moon and stars and all kind of other cool stuff, chances are that's not going to happen the first time that you meditate, and you may feel discouraged when you get done because you think that, oh wait, I didn't get what I wanted from it. But if you go into it with an open mind and just are receptive to whatever happens, or whatever, wherever the process takes you, you will find joy. You leave more room for magic to happen. Some people may begin practicing mindfulness, and they may, improve their diet. Some people may start practicing mindfulness and they just may be able to control their attitude better. And those things are magical, because before the practice of mindfulness, you weren't even aware that those things were a problem. You weren't even aware that you were eating horribly. You weren't even aware that you had a bad attitude. You just thought that's just the way it was, and that's just how it was going to be. I say just practice it and go into it with an open mind. What are some ways that you can practice mindfulness? You can practice mindfulness by doing anything that allows you the opportunity to live in the present and be completely there. That can be painting, reading, writing, jogging, any form of exercise. And of course, my favorite, which is meditation. This list is not exhaustive. You can practice mindfulness in any way that you desire and that resonates most with you. I practice mindfulness when I'm cooking. That allows me just time to be completely there, completely tapped into what I'm doing in that moment. I practice mindfulness when I walk to the mailbox. I practice mindfulness sometimes when I eat. Now, that's not something that I always do, but I am definitely becoming more conscious of making my meals a time to be mindful. I'm currently doing a 40-day fast, and with this fast, it's actually causing me to slow down and really enjoy my food, really savor every bite, really appreciate every bite that I'm taking, as opposed to scarfing it down the way that I used to. And when I was not mindfully eating, I know that I was overeating, which definitely would attribute to my weight gain at certain periods, and I would have to work out harder, or I would have to do more to maintain my weight during those times when I was not mindfully eating. Now that I'm mindfully eating, I see that it's easier for me to control my portion. The thing with practicing mindfulness, it gives you that time and that space to just devote your energy to that particular thing that you're doing. That's what makes an activity mindful. It's not necessarily what you do or even how you do it. It's about giving your all in that moment. And what are some of the benefits of mindfulness? One of those things is learning how to make conscious, positive choices. When you are able to cut down on the mental chatter and really be able to still yourself, making the right choice, it just comes a little bit easier. Practicing mindfulness can also help you when it comes to building positive relationships with others. Like when you're able to stop and get to know yourself better, you realize, what, sometimes I'm the problem, if not most of the time, because we're never in control of what other people do, but we're always in control of how we respond and how we react. When we're more aware of those things, we're better in the relationships that we are in with people. And that doesn't just have to be like a marital relationship. That can be friendships, that can be co-workers, whatever the case. When you're a better person, you're better in everything that you do. Practicing mindfulness doesn't mean that you're not going to have, thoughts, or that you're just going to be able to control every single thought that you have. But you will be more aware. And the more aware you become, the better you become. And that's just in every aspect. Another mindfulness myth is that you are to think positively at all times. That is something that I fell into the trap with when I first got on this journey with mindfulness and spirituality and meditation. I really believed that we were supposed to think positively all the time. I don't think positively all the time, but because I'm big on mindfulness, I am aware when my thoughts are off, and I do know how to get myself back on track because I am aware that my thoughts are drifting to a dark place. So sometimes I sit with those thoughts and I wonder, why am I feeling this way? I get to the root of it. Am I burnt out? Am I tired? Like, what's going on with me for me to be feeling this way? It also helps to rid yourself of distractions when you're trying to practice mindfulness or do an activity for mindfulness. And when I say distractions, I mean external stimulation like your cell phone, tablets, computers, even the TV. Because with those things going, you're dividing your attention. Multitasking seems like a prerequisite for productivity. However, when you're multitasking too much, you're not giving anything your all. So I know for me, when I've been in those phases where I've been multitasking, doing a million things at once, and after I got done, I felt so empty and I felt even more frustrated and anxious. It's because I didn't give myself any time to be mindful. I was just going, spinning my wheels just to get things done, just to say that I was productive, just to mark something off of my checklist. Social media is one of those external distractions that keeps people from living a mindful life. And really, I'm going to have to do an entire episode on social media addiction to just go down into the science of it all and how it plays into our daily lives. But for the sake of time now, really making yourself take breaks from social media will help with practicing mindfulness as well. It's virtually impossible to fully be present if you're always on your timeline scrolling, or if you're always posting, or if you're always checking up on the latest, because you're not really tapped into your own life. You're tapped into the lives of others. And as you read other people's thoughts, those thoughts are unconsciously becoming your thoughts. And so you begin to think that, your thoughts are someone else's thoughts, and you're not really aware of what you're truly thinking and how you truly feel. Social media literally affects the way that people feel and think about things that may not have even concerned them had they not checked their timeline for that day. Practicing mindfulness also helps with better sleep. I encourage people to disconnect from their phones before going to bed because it allows your brain time to wind down and really get settled into sleeping. But it counts to be fully present in what you are doing. That is when you begin to experience joy. The benefits of mindfulness are endless. I don't encourage people to practice mindfulness for the benefit, but just to practice mindfulness, just to see where it takes you. But the benefits are long. Mindfulness helps you with making conscious decisions. When you're more aware of yourself, you're going to be more aware of the world around you. You're going to be more aware of how what you do affects other people. So you're going to make better decisions. When you're more mindful, you're going to experience more joy in your life. You're going to be able to tap into the power of gratitude. You're going to be able to experience more love. You're going to be able to experience a deeper healing of your soul simply from being aware of who you are. My top 3 ways that I really enjoy my mindfulness time. Number 1, that's meditation. Number 2 is painting. And number 3 is writing. And these are all things that I incorporate into my classroom as a middle school art teacher. I allow my students time to paint. I allow my students time to write about their feelings and their emotions and about their day and whatever else they need to express. And I also lead them in a meditation every single day. They know that when they come in the classroom, we're going to meditate no matter what is going on, no matter what's on the agenda. We're going to meditate before we kick anything off. These 3 things are also incorporated into my new workbook. I feature paintings in my workbook along with art therapy exercises that allow the reader to interpret the art as well as create their own art. There are meditations throughout the book. There is one for every part of the book. So there's a total of 5 meditations that you can do while working through the workbook, as well as take them into your daily life and do those on a regular basis or whenever you feel that they resonate with you. And there is plenty of space in the book to write. That is the big bulk of the workbook, is to write, express your feelings, have time to yourself to just go back and revisit things that you may be still suppressing. And you can get that workbook off of Amazon. You can type in Beauty in the Bayou Workbook by Corinthian, or you can visit either of my websites to get the book. You can go to thebookofcorinthian.com and click books at the top, or you can visit Lighthouse.com and visit the shop page. Also, I've included these links in the description of the podcast, or you can just go directly to the Book of Corinthian app, which I think is the easiest way to stay connected to everything. If you download the app, you will get daily affirmations every single day that also help you with practicing mindfulness. Affirmations are a great way to practice mindfulness. It gives you a moment to speak positively over yourself and be aware of what you're speaking and over yourself and what you're thinking in that moment. Yay! If you'd like to, catch a mindfulness meditation, I would like to encourage you to visit my YouTube channel. And I also have stories on my blog about this particular, subject and how I've dealt with it and how I've managed it. Whichever way you decide to practice mindfulness, my biggest prayer and hope for you is that whatever you commit to doing, you just be there fully. And overall, mindfulness does help with your mental health. And when your mental health is being actively loved on, then all aspects of your life will exponentially grow. your spirit, your body, your emotional health, all of that. It all works starting with the mind. My Let's Talk Mental Health podcast was more so of, just challenging you to get to the root cause of why you were struggling with those mental disorders. And like I said, I encourage therapy. I encourage, doing all you need to do for your mental health. But at the end of the day, I also encourage you get into the root cause of it. And the things I've said about mindfulness, that's why people are recognizing art therapy now as an actual treatment. Getting to know yourself is the best thing that you could do for yourself. And that is where my heart was on the Let's Talk Mental Health podcast. The more of us that take on that task of bettering ourselves and learning to be more mindful, we are literally healing not just ourselves, but the planet. Before we go, let's meditate. Take a moment to find yourself a comfortable space. I do not encourage doing this meditation or any meditation while you're driving. And if you need to be somewhere at a certain time here in the next 30 minutes or an hour, I also encourage you to set an alarm just in case you doze off or fall asleep. Now that you're in your comfortable space, settle in, sit down, cross your legs, or if you're sitting in a chair, that's fine too. Make sure that nothing is in your hands. Inhale deeply and exhale. Inhale deeply and exhale. Look at the space directly in front of you. Focus your attention on one thing. Continue to take breaths in and out. In and out. What color do you see? What are you looking at? How is this making you feel? Allow yourself to just admire whatever it is that you are looking at. Now, take a look at your hand. What do you notice? How do you feel? Continue to inhale and exhale deeply. Put your hands back down. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Relax your shoulders. Do you feel tension anywhere in your body? If so, where. Continue to breathe deeply in and out. If you are feeling tension anywhere, send light to that area of your body. Breathe in and breathe out. Visualize white light over that space where you're feeling the tension. Inhale peace. Exhale stress. Inhale clarity. Exhale confusion. Inhale love. Exhale hate. Continue to breathe. If any thoughts come up that distract you from living in this moment, affirm, I am fully present. Continue to breathe in and out as deeply as is comfortable for you. Do this for as long as you need to. When you're done, open your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths in and 3 deep exhales. Focus your attention again on the area in front of you. Now what do you see? Now what do you feel? Look at your hand again and answer those same questions. Now grab your pen and your journal or your paper and just take some time to write out your thoughts. Any thoughts that may have come up while you were doing the meditation. Write out some affirmations for yourself. Whatever resonates with you most. Just take this time to be mindful and spend some time loving on you. Thank you for being here. Peace and love. With meditation being my favorite way to practice mindfulness, I would definitely love to invite you to my Meditation 101 course. And in that course, I go deeper into the benefits of meditation, different types of meditations and techniques. I debunk some of the myths about meditation, and I dive more into meditation and spirituality. And you can register for that by visiting CorinthiansLighthouse.com. You can visit the courses page at the top, or you can just download the Book of Corinthian app and you can click where it says events. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast episode. Please feel free to email me at podcast@thebookofcorinthian.com to let me know your honest thoughts and opinions, your concerns, if you have any topics that you'd like for me to address in the future. As always, I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining this space with me. I have actually stepped outside to get me some fresh air and extend my mindfulness practice for the day to just breathe in some fresh air and get a different perspective by being out here in nature. I encourage you to try that sometime this week. Get out, spend some time in nature, love on yourself, love on the planet, connect with Mother Earth, and tap into the God within you. Thanks for vibing with me. Peace and love, y'all.